one of the reasons people have used our service over the years is because of the privacy that we give them. And, we honor and respect that privacy very much. I can't speak on behalf of the U.S. government. I don't know their intentions. However, all the things that we've seen from them are that they don't have an intent to go after U.S. citizens here. And we believe the return of the funds will go seamlessly and there won't be any issues. Let me kind of go back to the process a little bit. So on Monday, on our website, we'll put up the ability for users to log in and request the funds. We'll also send an email communication to our U.S. customers so that they can request their funds. When they come to the site and they request their funds, we expect the funds to come back very quickly. As I say, the money is sitting in the U.S. ready to come back right now, and it'll either be delivered via an electronic funds transfer to a customer's bank if they've credentialed their bank account with their NETeller account, or if they haven't done that, they'll get a check sent to the address we have on record for them. And for the electronic funds transfer, we expect it to take the normal time that it takes for an EFT, which is generally around 3 days. I've read out there on some of the bulletin boards people saying, it's going to be months before I get our money back. We don't envisage it will take a long time. We expect that people will be able to get their money back in fairly short order here.
Okay, so beginning July 30th, 2007, people will be able to go to the NETeller website, log in using their regular login information, but they must click the button and request that their funds be returned to them. And then it should take only 2 to 3 days. So most people should have their money back over the next month. Throughout the month of August, money should be returned to just about everyone who gets over there and requests it. Is there a cutoff date for when?
There is. We've got a 6-month window for when you can request your funds. And so, customers can come until the 26th of January 2008 to request their funds. Clearly, we would expect that most people who are paying attention will request their funds back as soon as they possibly can. Clearly, if everyone hits the button at once, that's going to create some load on our servers, but we have a good amount of capacity there. And I would expect, people should be seeing their money fairly quickly, within days after they request a return of their funds. I wouldn't expect there'll be too many stragglers left by next January.
I don't think so. Moving on to a couple of other NETeller interest topics to real quick cover some things for our listeners and our viewers who are interested in the future of NETeller. I understand you have a prepaid NETeller card. Is that something that is just being rolled out for friendly jurisdictions?
We've actually we replaced our previous prepaid card with a new prepaid card starting about a month ago. It's been rolled out in parts of Europe, and in the next couple of weeks, we should be rolling it out to the rest of the world. It's available in countries where people have an active account. With regard specifically to the U.S., we're not offering it in the U.S. At the moment. Once we get through this process of returning funds, we'll take a position on what is our intent to service the U.S. market. However, I would make the point that it has never been our intent to break the law, and so clearly, we understand exactly where we were with respect to that over the last 6 months in the U.S., and so our intent is not to service what are considered illegal transactions by the U.S. government.
Right. And, of course, you're not involved in online gaming in the U.S. or Canada or Israel. Are there any other jurisdictions you guys are currently not operating in?
We have a number of countries generally where there is a clear understanding of the law, and it makes transferring money to and from online gambling merchants an illegal activity. We won't do that. Our intent, as I said, is never to break the law. So that means, Turkey recently changed their law, Israel recently changed their law, and so we don't offer services for residents of those countries to transfer funds to gambling sites. They can use the service for other things, but not for those activities. And, the law changes from time to time in country to country, and we monitor it fairly closely, as I'm sure you can imagine.
Okay. Do you ever foresee a day, maybe, in the future when NETeller could return as a viable processing option for those living in the U.S. or even in North America?
We'd love to get to that position. What we have to do is make sure that we are, when we think around that, of doing that we do it in a way that is, that the authorities within those countries are comfortable with. Clearly, we're regulated out of Europe, and we're legally allowed to operate in Europe, and we take we get a good legal reading on all the countries we operate in, and so we'd want to make sure if we re-entered the North American market, we did it in a way that the governments of those countries would be comfortable with.
Certainly. I thank you so much, Mr. Starr, for joining us and for being as forthcoming with information as you have been. I had the good pleasure to meet you a few months ago at a conference, and you were very friendly, very open, just the way NETeller always used to operate. And I hope that people can come away from this experience and realize that the way things were was just an unfortunate situation, the way it all came together, and that's certainly not indicative of the way NETeller operated in the past, or I'm guessing will operate in the future. And a couple of days ago, you guys started trading again on the AIM, which is the London Stock Exchange. And I say congratulations to you for that. It's just one more sign of recovery. How's that going, and what does that indicate about NETeller's future, in your opinion?
We feel very good about that. There are several steps that we needed to get to. We've got to solve. The first was to get resolution with the U.S. The second was to get trading on AIM, and the third is to get our U.S. customers' money back. We'd have liked to get that money back a little earlier, but it takes a sequence of things to happen for that to happen. The company's in pretty good shape. I mean, clearly you can read the press out there, and you can see that the company has we've restructured several times in the last year. We've had to take cost out as our revenues have dropped. We are a lot smaller company in terms of employees and revenue than we were, but the future is pretty strong for us. We have a great business in Europe and in Asia. The markets and the attitude towards online gambling is very different in those jurisdictions to how it is in North America, and it means that our service operates unhindered there. So we believe that there's a great opportunity for the company there. And I must say, over the last few years, we've been aggressively growing our business in Europe, and so we believe that the future for NETeller is particularly strong, and there's a great opportunity for us out there.
Well, that's excellent news, sir.
One point I would like to leave in the minds of our U.S. customers as they go to get their money back. You always have to look out for criminals and fraudsters out there. People will know that we're returning a significant amount of money to U.S. individuals, and I'm sure there'll be phishing emails and all sorts of things out there. I'd highly recommend to customers who are concerned about security, they're probably better typing in the domain name of our website to go and request their funds rather than clicking on a link in an email they may get if they're unsure of that email. Remember, they should be going to a site that has a top-level domain of something.neteller.com, www.neteller.com. And that's the only site that they can really request. That is the only site, not really, the only site that they can request their funds back from. And so just, be aware of phishing out there. It's, the Internet can be a nasty place sometimes.
I agree completely. That's great advice. I'm glad you thought of that because it had completely slipped my mind. Until, of course, all the phishing emails would have poured in, then I would have been like, oh, man, I should have mentioned that. But, Mr. Starr, thank you again for joining us. You've been very gracious with your time. I know you're tired after a long international flight and several long days, so I'm going to say thank you and let you go. And, again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing for the NETeller Group, Mr. Dan Starr. Dan, thank you, and I'm sure we'll be talking with you at some point in the future.
Yes, thank you very much, Jay.